The morning started like any other Tuesday at Lincoln Middle School. Kids rushed through the hallways, slamming lockers and shouting to their friends, but for 12-year-old Maya, every step required concentration. Her white cane tapped rhythmically against the tile floor as she made her way to the music room. She could hear the whispers. She always could. "There's that blind girl again. I wonder how she even gets around. Must be so sad, you know." Maya had learned to tune them out. 5 years ago, when the doctors told her family that a rare condition was slowly stealing her sight, she thought her world was ending. By the time she turned 7, darkness had completely taken over. No more sunsets, no more faces, no more colors. But something unexpected happened in that darkness. She discovered music. It started with an old keyboard her uncle brought over one Christmas. He probably thought it would be a nice distraction, something to keep her busy. He had no idea he was handing her a new way to see the world. From the moment her fingers touched those keys, Maya felt something click inside her chest. Each note was like a drop of light in her dark world. When she played, she could see again. Not with her eyes, but with something deeper. The music room was buzzing with excitement that Tuesday morning. Mrs. Patterson, the music teacher, was standing at the front with a clipboard in her hand. She clapped twice to get everyone's attention. "All right, settle down, everyone. As you all know, our annual spring talent show is coming up in 3 weeks. Today we're starting auditions. If you want to perform, come write your name on the sign-up sheet." The room erupted with chatter. Kids immediately started talking about what they would do. The popular girls in the front row were already planning a dance routine. The boys in the back were arguing about who would play guitar for their band. Maya sat quietly in her usual spot by the window, feeling the warm sunlight on her face. She wanted to sign up. She had been thinking about it for weeks. But every time she considered raising her hand, doubt crept in like cold water. "Maya, honey, do you need help finding your next class?" Mrs. Patterson's voice was kind, but had that tone adults use when they're not quite sure what to do with you. That careful, walking on eggshells tone that made Maya feel even more different than she already was. "Actually, Mrs. Patterson, I wanted to sign up for the talent show." The room didn't go silent exactly, but there was a definite shift. Conversations lowered. Maya could feel the eyes turning toward her. "Oh," Mrs. Patterson paused. "Well, that's wonderful, Maya. What were you thinking of doing?" "I want to play piano." This time the room did go silent. Then came the giggles. Quiet at first, like someone trying to hold in a sneeze, then louder. "The blind girl wants to play piano?" someone whispered, but whispers in a quiet room might as well be shouts. "How's she even gonna see the keys?" another voice added. "This is gonna be hilarious," someone else snickered. Maya felt her cheeks burning. Her hands gripped the edge of her desk. She had expected this, but expecting something doesn't make it hurt any less. It's like knowing you're about to jump into cold water. You know it's coming, but the shock still takes your breath away. "That's enough," Mrs. Patterson's voice cut through the laughter. "Maya, of course you can sign up. Come up here and I'll help you write your name down." Maya stood, unfolded her cane, and made her way to the front of the room. Each tap of her cane seemed louder than usual. She could feel everyone watching her. Some kids moved their backpacks out of her way, but she heard one boy deliberately scrape his chair into her path. She navigated around it without saying anything. Mrs. Patterson guided her hand to write her name on the sheet. "There you go, sweetheart. I'm sure you'll do just fine." But Maya could hear the doubt in her teacher's voice. That same careful tone. She wondered if Mrs. Patterson had already decided to put her first in the lineup, so when she failed, at least it would be over quickly and everyone could move on to the real performers. The rest of the day was brutal. By lunch, everyone seemed to know that the blind girl had signed up for the talent show. Maya sat at her usual table in the cafeteria, the one near the back corner where the other kids who didn't quite fit in gathered. Her best friend, Lisa, sat down beside her with a heavy sigh. "Don't listen to them," Lisa said, unwrapping her sandwich. "They're all idiots." "I can hear them laughing from here," Maya said quietly. "So? Let them laugh now. You'll show them." But Lisa's voice wavered just a bit. Even her best friend wasn't completely sure this was a good idea. That evening, Maya sat at her keyboard in the tiny apartment she shared with her mom and younger brother. The keyboard wasn't fancy. Some of the keys stuck, and it couldn't hold a tune as well as it used to. But it was hers. She'd spent 3 years learning every inch of it, memorizing where each key lived, training her fingers to fly across them without hesitation. Her mom came in and sat on the edge of the bed. She worked double shifts at the hospital as a nurse, and Maya could hear the exhaustion in her voice. "Tough day, baby?" "They laughed at me, Mom." Her mother was quiet for a moment. Then she reached over and took Maya's hand. Her mom's hands were always warm, always steady. "You know what your grandmother used to tell me? She said that people laugh at things they don't understand. It's easier to laugh than to imagine something different from what they know. But what if they're right? What if I mess up in front of the whole school?" "Then you mess up. So what? You know what the alternative is? Not trying at all. Letting their laughter make your decisions for you. Is that who you want to be?" Maya shook her head. "I didn't think so. Now what are you going to play?" Maya had been thinking about this for days. She could play something simple, something safe, a basic melody that no one could criticize because it was just good enough, or she could do something that terrified and excited her in equal measure. "Chopin," she said finally. "Ballade number 1. Her mom let out a low whistle. "That's a big piece, honey. Even pianists who can see struggle with that one." "I know. But if I'm going to do this, I want to really do it. I don't want to give them some watered-down version because they don't think I can handle the real thing." Her mother squeezed her hand. "Then you better start practicing." And practice she did. That night, Maya played until her fingers ached. She played until her brother yelled at her to stop so he could sleep. She played until the notes blurred together into one continuous stream of sound that filled up every corner of their small apartment and spilled out into the night. 3 weeks suddenly didn't seem like nearly enough time. The piece was 15 minutes long and incredibly complex. There were parts that made her fingers twist into uncomfortable positions, sections where the rhythm shifted in ways that could trip up even experienced musicians. But Maya had something that many pianists didn't have. She had nothing to distract her, no sheet music to follow, no watching her hands to make sure they landed in the right place. She only had the music itself, pure and clear in her mind. Every note was a friend she knew by heart. Every chord progression was a path she could walk blindfolded, which, she supposed, was exactly what she was doing. As she finally climbed into bed that night, Maya made herself a promise. Win or lose, succeed or fail, she was going to walk onto that stage in 3 weeks and show everyone what she could do. Not to prove them wrong, though that would be nice, but to prove to herself that she was more than what they saw, more than the blind girl, more than their low expectations. She was a pianist, and it was time the world knew it. The next morning, Maya woke up with her fingers still sore from the night before. She flexed them under her blanket, feeling the slight ache in her knuckles. 3 weeks. That's all she had. 3 weeks to master one of the most difficult piano pieces ever written. School was worse than she expected. By the time she got to her locker, she knew something was off. The hallway felt different, quieter. Then she heard the crinkle of paper. "What's this?" she asked Lisa, who had rushed over to meet her. Lisa's voice was tight with anger. "Someone taped a note to your locker. Don't worry about it. I'm taking it down." "What does it say?" "Maya, It's not worth... Lisa, what does it say? Her friend sighed. It says, save yourself the embarrassment. Drop out now. There's more, but it's all garbage. Maya's stomach twisted, but she kept her face neutral. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her upset. She reached into her locker, grabbed her books, and headed to class without another word. The notes kept coming. In Braille this time, which meant someone had actually taken the time to learn how to write mean things in a language she could read. That almost impressed her in a sick way. The messages appeared on her desk, slipped into her backpack, left on her chair in the cafeteria. Why don't you stick to something easier? Pianos need someone who can actually see. This is going to be so embarrassing for you. After 3 days of this, Maya was ready to quit. Not because she believed them, but because she was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of being brave. Tired of having to prove herself every single day, just to exist in the same space as everyone else. That afternoon, she sat in her usual spot in the music room during free period. The room was empty except for her and the old piano in the corner. She walked over to it, running her fingers along its smooth surface. This piano was nothing like her keyboard at home. This was a real instrument, heavy and solid, with keys that responded to every tiny change in pressure. She sat down and started playing scales, just simple warm-ups. Her fingers moved mechanically without feeling. She was going through the motions, and she knew it. You play like someone who's already given up. Maya jumped at the voice. She hadn't heard anyone come in. Who's there? My name is Catherine Rodriguez. I teach private piano lessons in town. Mrs. Patterson mentioned you to me last week. She thought you might need some help preparing for the talent show. Maya's defenses went up immediately. I don't need help. I've been practicing. I can tell. I've been standing here for 5 minutes listening to you practice. And you know what I heard? Nothing. No heart. No fire. Just fingers hitting keys. The words stung because they were true. Maya felt tears building behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Maybe everyone's right, Maya said quietly. Maybe this is a stupid idea. Maybe I should just drop out and save myself the trouble. She heard footsteps, then felt someone sit down on the bench beside her. Mrs. Rodriguez's voice was closer now, gentler, but still firm. Tell me something. Why did you sign up for this talent show? Maya thought about it. I wanted to show them I could do it. Wrong answer. Try again. What? If you're doing this to prove something to people who've already made up their minds about you, you'll never be satisfied. Even if you play perfectly, they'll find something to criticize. So why are you really doing this? Maya sat in silence. Her hands rested on the keys, and she let herself feel the smooth ivory beneath her fingertips. Why was she doing this? Because, she said slowly, when I play, I'm not blind anymore. When I play, I'm just me, the best version of me. And I want other people to see that version, even if just for a few minutes. Mrs. Rodriguez patted her shoulder. There it is. That's why you play. Now let's get to work. For the next 2 weeks, Maya's life became consumed by piano practice. Mrs. Rodriguez was a tough teacher. She didn't go easy on Maya because of her blindness. In fact, she pushed her harder than anyone ever had. Again, Mrs. Rodriguez would say when Maya stumbled over a difficult passage. Your left hand is rushing. The tempo needs to stay steady even when the notes get complicated. They worked on the piece measure by measure, sometimes spending an entire hour on just 8 bars of music. Mrs. Rodriguez made Maya play sections backward, in different keys, with different dynamics. She pushed Maya to understand not just what notes to play, but why the composer wrote them that way. Chopin wrote this when he was dealing with his own struggles, Mrs. Rodriguez explained one afternoon. This piece is about inner conflict, about fighting against something that feels bigger than you. Do you understand what that feels like? Maya nodded. She understood perfectly. At home, her practice schedule became even more intense. She started waking up at 5 in the morning to practice for 2 hours before school. Then she'd practice during lunch, sitting in the music room instead of the cafeteria. After school, she'd spend another 3 hours at her keyboard at home. Her fingers began to bleed from the constant practice. She wrapped them in bandages and kept playing. Her little brother, Danny, complained about the noise. "Maya, it's 10 at night. Some of us are trying to sleep." "Just 30 more minutes," she'd call back. Her mom started bringing her ice packs for her hands. "Baby, you're pushing yourself too hard. Your fingers need rest." "I don't have time to rest, Mom. The show is in 1 week." But her body was telling her something different. Her hands cramped up during the middle of practice sessions. Her back ached from sitting hunched over the keyboard for hours. Her head pounded from lack of sleep. One evening, she hit a wrong note 3 times in a row on a passage she had already mastered. Frustrated, she slammed her hands down on the keys. "I can't do this," she shouted into the empty apartment. Her mom was at work, and Danny was at a friend's house. She was alone with her failure. She put her head down on the keys. And for the first time since this whole thing started, she let herself cry. Really cry. All the frustration, all the fear, all the exhaustion came pouring out. She cried for the girl she used to be, the one who could see sunsets and read books and run without worrying about obstacles. She cried for the girl she was now, fighting so hard to be seen as normal when nothing about her situation was normal. Her phone rang. She almost didn't answer it, but the ringtone told her it was Mrs. Rodriguez. "Hello?" Her voice was thick with tears. "Maya, I know you're struggling right now." "How did you?" "Because every serious musician hits this wall. You're 1 week away from the performance and suddenly everything feels impossible. Every note sounds wrong. Every passage feels too hard. Am I right?" Maya sniffed. "Yes." "Good. That means you care. That means this matters to you. Now listen to me carefully. You need to rest. No practice tonight. None. Go to bed early. Let your hands heal. Tomorrow we'll meet at my studio and we'll work through this together. But tonight you rest. Can you do that?" Maya nodded, then remembered Mrs. Rodriguez couldn't see her. "Yes, I can do that." That night, Maya went to bed at 8 o'clock. She didn't touch the keyboard. She didn't think about the talent show. She just slept. And when she woke up the next morning, her hands felt better. Her mind felt clearer. She had 6 days left. 6 days to become the pianist she knew she could be. 6 days to turn all those hours of practice into something beautiful. 6 days to prove to herself that she was ready. The mockery at school continued, but Maya barely noticed anymore. She had found something bigger than their doubt. She had found her purpose, and nothing was going to stop her from seeing it through. The morning of the talent show arrived faster than Maya expected. She woke up at 6 with her heart already racing. Today was the day. After 3 weeks of bleeding fingers, sleepless nights, and countless hours of practice, she would finally step onto that stage. Her mom made her favorite breakfast, pancakes with maple syrup, but Maya could barely eat. Her stomach was doing flips. She pushed the food around her plate while Danny chattered excitedly about how cool it was that his sister was performing. "Are you nervous?" her mom asked, reaching across the table to squeeze her hand. "Terrified," Maya admitted. "Good. That means you're alive. That means you care." At school, the energy was electric. The talent show was scheduled for 2 in the afternoon in the main gymnasium. All classes after lunch were canceled so everyone could attend. Maya could hear the excitement in the hallways as kids talked about the performances they were looking forward to. Nobody mentioned her name. Not once. Lisa found her at her locker during lunch. "Okay, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I saw the performance order. You're going 3rd. Maya's heart sank. 3rd meant she'd go early, but not 1st. She'd have just enough time to watch others perform and psych herself out. Perfect. "What are the first 2 acts?" Maya asked. "Tyler's doing a magic show and the cheerleaders are doing their dance routine. You know, the one they've been practicing for months with the professional choreographer." Great. She'd be following the most popular girls in school doing a polished dance number. The comparison would be brutal. "Hey!" Lisa grabbed her shoulders. "Stop spiraling. I can literally hear you overthinking from here. You've got this. I've heard you practice. You're incredible." "But what if I freeze? What if I forget the notes? What if you're amazing and everyone realizes they were idiots for doubting you?" "That's also a possibility, you know?" Maya tried to smile, but her face felt frozen. Her hands were already sweating, and the performance was still hours away. At 1:30, all the performers gathered backstage in the gym. The space was chaotic, with kids running around in costumes, music playing from different speakers, and teachers trying to maintain some sense of order. Maya stood near the wall, holding her white cane, trying to stay out of the way. "Oh, look who actually showed up." Maya recognized the voice. Chelsea, the captain of the cheerleading squad and the unofficial queen of the 8th grade. Her voice dripped with fake sweetness. "I'm surprised you didn't drop out," Chelsea continued. "I mean, it takes guts to embarrass yourself in front of the whole school. I'll give you that." "Leave her alone, Chelsea," someone said. Maya was surprised to realize it was Tyler, the kid doing the magic show. "I'm not being mean. I'm just saying it's brave. I could never get up there and fail in front of everyone like that. Takes real courage." Maya felt her chest tighten. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of. The mockery. The assumption that she'd fail before she even tried. Mrs. Patterson's voice cut through the noise. "All right, everyone. We're starting in 5 minutes. Performers, please stay in order. Parents and students, take your seats." Maya could hear the gymnasium filling up. Hundreds of footsteps, hundreds of voices, all those people waiting to watch the show, waiting to watch her. Her hands started shaking. Mrs. Rodriguez appeared beside her. Maya recognized her perfume and the sound of her footsteps. "Walk with me," Mrs. Kertz, Rodriguez said quietly, guiding Maya to a quieter corner backstage. "I don't know if I can do this," Maya whispered. "There are so many people out there." "Maya, look at me." "Well, you know what I mean." Mrs. Rodriguez took both of Maya's hands in hers. "Listen to me very carefully. When you walk out on that stage, there is only you and the piano. That's it. Not the audience, not the other performers, not the people who doubted you, just you and the music. Can you do that?" Maya took a shaky breath. "I think so." "You don't think. You know. You've played this piece 1,000 times. Your fingers know every note. Your heart knows every emotion. Trust yourself." The show began. Maya heard the principal's voice over the microphone, welcoming everyone and explaining the rules. Then Tyler's magic show started. She could hear the audience laughing and gasping at his tricks. He was good, really good. Then came the cheerleaders. Their music was loud and energetic. Maya could hear the stomping of their feet, the precision of their movements. The audience erupted in applause when they finished. The bar was high. "Maya Chen, you're up next," Mrs. Patterson said, her voice nervous. "Are you ready?" No. She wasn't ready. She would never be ready. But she nodded anyway. Her mom appeared out of nowhere and hugged her tight. "I love you, baby. No matter what happens out there, I'm proud of you." Then Lisa was there too, squeezing her hand. "Go show them who you are." Maya unfolded her cane and let Mrs. Patterson guide her to the stage entrance. The curtains were thick and heavy. Beyond them, she could hear the murmur of hundreds of conversations. The gymnasium had to be completely packed. "The piano is center stage, about 15 steps straight ahead," Mrs. Patterson whispered. "I'll walk you to it." They stepped through the curtain together. The gymnasium went quiet. Maya could feel the weight of all those eyes on her, watching, judging, waiting for her to fail. Mrs. Patterson walked her to the piano bench. "Right here, honey. You've got this." Then she was alone, completely alone on a stage in front of everyone she knew. Maya's hands were trembling so badly she had to clasp them together. She could hear whispers from the audience, giggles. Someone said something she couldn't quite make out, but the tone was clear enough. She sat down at the bench. The piano was a beautiful, grand piano, much nicer than the one in the music room. She reached out and touched the keys gently, orienting herself, finding middle C, feeling the familiar spacing between the black and white keys. Somewhere in the audience, someone coughed, someone else laughed. Maya heard a voice say, "This is gonna be a disaster." Her hands hovered over the keys. This was it. The moment she'd been working toward for 3 weeks. The moment that would either prove she belonged here or confirm everyone's worst assumptions about her. Maya closed her eyes. Not that it made a difference, but it helped her focus. She thought about Mrs. Rodriguez's words. Just her and the piano. Nothing else mattered. She took one deep breath, then another. Her hands found their starting position, and she began to play. The first notes were soft, tentative. Her fingers found the keys purely by muscle memory and thousands of hours of practice. The opening of Chopin's Ballade. Number 1 was gentle, almost questioning, like someone asking a question they're afraid to hear the answer to. Then the music began to build. Her left hand established a steady rhythm while her right hand danced over the melody. The notes flowed out of her like water, like breathing, like something she'd been born knowing how to do. The gymnasium had gone completely silent. Not a cough, not a whisper, not a sound, except for the piano. Maya's fingers flew across the keys. The piece grew more complex, more passionate. There were moments of anger, moments of sadness, moments of pure joy. Her whole body moved with the music, swaying and leaning into the difficult passages. Every emotion she'd felt over the past 3 weeks poured out through her fingertips. Every doubt, every fear, every moment of determination. She wasn't Maya the blind girl anymore. She wasn't the target of mockery or pity. She was just a musician, telling a story the only way she knew how. Through music. The piece built toward its climax. Her hands moved so fast they blurred. The notes cascaded over each other, creating waves of sound that filled every corner of the gymnasium. This was the part she'd practiced until her fingers bled, the part that had made her want to quit. And now, here on this stage, it was perfect. Then came the final section, soft again, gentle, like the calm after a storm. Maya played the last few notes with tears streaming down her face. She hadn't even realized she was crying. The final note hung in the air for a long moment. Maya's hands stayed on the keys, not quite believing it was over. She'd done it. She'd actually done it, and she hadn't missed a single note. The silence stretched on. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. Then the applause started, and it was like nothing Maya had ever heard before. The applause crashed over Maya like a wave. It started as a rumble, then grew into something thunderous. People weren't just clapping, they were standing. She could hear chairs scraping against the gymnasium floor as hundreds of people rose to their feet. Maya sat frozen at the piano, her hands still resting on the keys. She couldn't quite process what was happening. This wasn't the polite applause you give someone just to be nice. This was real. This was people genuinely moved by what they'd just heard. "Maya! Maya! Maya!" The chant started somewhere in the back of the gymnasium and spread like wildfire. Soon, the entire crowd was saying her name. Mrs. Rodriguez appeared at her side, gently touching her shoulder. Maya could hear the emotion in her teacher's voice. "Stand up, sweetheart. Take your bow. You earned this." Maya stood on shaky legs and turned toward the audience. She gave a small, awkward bow. The applause somehow got even louder. She heard her mom's voice cutting through the noise, whooping and cheering. Danny was yelling, "That's my sister!" at the top of his lungs. As Mrs. Rodriguez guided her off the stage, Maya felt tears streaming down her face again. But these weren't tears of fear or frustration. These were something else entirely. Relief, joy, pride. Backstage was chaos. The other performers who had been making fun of her earlier now stared at her in stunned silence. Tyler was the first to approach. I don't even have words, that was incredible. Then Lisa was there, hugging her so tight Maya could barely breathe. I told you! I told you! Oh my God, Maya! Everyone is losing their minds out there! More people crowded around. Kids she'd never spoken to before were trying to talk to her, congratulate her, touch her arm like she was suddenly someone important. It was overwhelming. Maya felt dizzy from all the attention. The rest of the talent show continued, but Maya barely registered it. She sat backstage trying to calm her racing heart. Mrs. Patterson kept checking on her, bringing her water, making sure she was okay. Even the principal stopped by to shake her hand and tell her it was one of the finest performances he'd seen in his 20 years at the school. When the show finally ended and they announced the winners, Maya won first place by unanimous decision. She had to go back on stage to accept a trophy and a $50 gift card to a local music store. The applause was just as loud as before, but the real change happened after the show ended. Maya's mom drove her home, and they barely spoke. They didn't need to. Her mom kept reaching over to squeeze her hand, and that said everything. When they got home, Maya went straight to her room and collapsed on her bed. She was exhausted, completely drained, but also filled with something warm and bright that she couldn't quite name. She fell asleep still wearing her performance clothes. When she woke up the next morning, she thought maybe she'd dreamed the whole thing, but then her phone started ringing, and it didn't stop. Lisa called first. Maya, you need to check what's happening online, like, right now. What are you talking about? Someone recorded your performance and posted it on social media last night. Maya, the video has over 100,000 views already. Maya's stomach dropped. What? It's everywhere. People are sharing it like crazy. There are comments from all over the world. Hold on, let me read you some of these. This made me cry. Most beautiful thing I've heard in years. That girl has more talent in her pinky finger than I have in my whole body. Maya, you're going viral! The rest of that weekend was surreal. The video kept climbing. 200,000 views. 500,000. By Monday morning, it had hit 2 million views. Maya's phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. Friend requests, messages from strangers. People she'd never met telling her how much her performance meant to them. When she got to school on Monday, everything was different. The whispers in the hallway had changed from mockery to awe. Kids she'd never spoken to before went out of their way to say hi to her. The popular girls who had ignored her existence suddenly wanted to sit with her at lunch. But the most shocking moment came when Chelsea approached her at her locker. Maya, can we talk? Maya recognized the voice immediately. She braced herself for another insult disguised as a compliment. I wanted to apologize, Chelsea said quietly, for what I said backstage, and for all the other times I was mean to you. I was wrong. What you did on that stage was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and I feel like a complete jerk for treating you the way I did. Maya stood there, stunned. Chelsea's voice was shaking. She was actually being sincere. I don't expect you to forgive me, Chelsea continued. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry. Really sorry. It would have been easy to throw the apology back in her face, to remind Chelsea of every cruel comment, every mocking laugh. But Maya thought about what her mom always said. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. Thank you for apologizing, Maya said simply. I appreciate it. Chelsea walked away and Lisa appeared at Maya's side. Did that just happen? Did Chelsea actually apologize to you? I think she did. This is the weirdest timeline. But the strangest thing was yet to come. That afternoon, Mrs. Patterson called Maya to her office. When Maya arrived, there were other people there, grown-ups she didn't know. "Maya, these people have come all the way from New York to meet you," Mrs. Patterson said, her voice filled with barely contained excitement. "They're from the Juilliard School." Maya's breath caught in her throat. Juilliard, one of the most prestigious music schools in the world. A woman with a kind voice introduced herself. "My name is Dr. Helen Park, and I'm the director of admissions at Juilliard. We saw your performance online, and we were absolutely blown away. We wanted to reach out and let you know that we would love to offer you a full scholarship to our summer intensive program for young musicians, if you're interested, of course." Maya couldn't speak. She literally couldn't form words. Juilliard was offering her a scholarship. Her, the blind girl that everyone had laughed at just 1 week ago. "We know you're only 12, Dr. Park continued, but we believe in nurturing exceptional talent when we see it. This summer program would give you the chance to study with world-class instructors and perform with other gifted young musicians. What do you think?" Maya's voice cracked. Yes, I would love that." Her mom was called to the school. When she arrived and heard the news, she broke down crying right there in Mrs. Patterson's office. "My baby," she kept saying, "my brilliant baby." But it didn't stop there. Over the next few days, more opportunities came flooding in. A local news station wanted to do a story on her. A famous pianist reached out offering to give her lessons. A music producer asked if she'd be interested in recording an album. The Ellen DeGeneres show sent an email asking if she'd like to be a guest. It was overwhelming in the best possible way. Maya felt like she was living in a dream. Just 2 weeks ago, she'd been ready to quit, ready to let everyone's doubt convince her that she wasn't good enough. And now the whole world seemed to be telling her the opposite. At school, the talent show video was all anyone could talk about. Teachers showed it in their classes as an example of dedication and perseverance. The principal had it playing on a loop on the monitors in the cafeteria. Maya's face was suddenly everywhere. But the most meaningful moment came at the end of that first week. Maya was in the music room during free period, just sitting at the piano. She wasn't playing, just thinking. Processing everything that had happened. A group of younger kids peeked their heads in the door. "Are you Maya?" one of them asked shyly. "Yeah, that's me." "We saw your video. We think you're really cool." The kid paused. "My little sister is blind too. She's 5. When she saw you playing piano, she asked our mom if she could take music lessons. She said if you can do it, maybe she can too." Maya felt her throat tighten with emotion. This was bigger than her, bigger than the views and the opportunities and the recognition. She'd shown some little girl out there that being blind didn't mean having limits, that there was no dream too big, no goal too impossible. "Tell your sister," Maya said softly, "that she can do anything she sets her mind to, and if she ever wants to talk about music, she can come find me." The kids thanked her and left. Maya sat alone in the music room, thinking about how much had changed in just 1 week. 7 days ago, she'd been the girl everyone laughed at. Now she was the girl who inspired them, but she was still the same person, still Maya, still the girl who found light in darkness through music. And that, she realized, was the most important thing of all. 6 months after the talent show, Maya stood backstage at Carnegie Hall in New York City. Carnegie Hall, one of the most famous concert venues in the entire world. The place where legends had performed. And somehow, impossibly, she was about to walk out on that stage. The journey from that middle school gymnasium to this moment had been wild. After the video went viral, everything moved fast. Too fast, sometimes. Maya had appeared on television shows, given interviews to magazines, and performed at events all over the country. The shy 12-year-old who just wanted to play piano had become something she never expected. A symbol, an inspiration, a voice for people with disabilities everywhere. But with all the attention came pressure. Lots of it. People expected her to be perfect now. Every performance had to be flawless. Every interview had to be inspiring. Some days Maya missed being invisible. At least when people ignored her, she could just be herself. "You ready?" her mom asked, straightening Maya's dress for the 100th time. "I don't know. Am I ever ready?" Her mom laughed softly. "Probably not, but you do it anyway. That's what makes you brave." Tonight was different from all the other performances. Tonight wasn't just about playing piano. Maya had asked the organizers if she could speak to the audience first. She had something she needed to say, something that had been building inside her for months. The concert hall was sold out. Over 2,000 people had bought tickets. Maya could hear the murmur of the crowd through the heavy curtains. Mrs. Rodriguez stood nearby, giving her last-minute encouragement. "Remember, it's just you and the music," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "Everything else is just noise." Lisa had flown to New York with her family just to be here. Danny was sitting in the front row with their mom, probably annoying everyone around him with his excitement. Even some of Maya's classmates had made the trip, the ones who had mocked her, the ones who had left cruel notes on her desk. They were all here now, watching the girl they'd underestimated. The stage manager's voice crackled through a speaker. 5 minutes, Maya." 5 minutes. Then she'd walk out in front of thousands of people. The video of her school performance had reached 30 million views now. 30 million people had watched her play. And many of them would be watching tonight's performance, too, because it was being live-streamed around the world. No pressure. Maya took a deep breath and thought about that day in the music room when she'd first signed up for the talent show. She'd been terrified then, too, but she'd done it anyway, and look where it had led. "It's time," the stage manager said gently. Maya gripped her cane and let herself be guided to the stage entrance. The curtain opened. The crowd's murmur quieted. Maya walked out carefully, counting her steps. 15 steps to center stage. The same number as that first performance. But this time, instead of heading straight to the piano, she stopped at the microphone that had been set up for her. The audience was completely silent, waiting. "Hi, everyone," Maya said, her voice echoing through the massive hall. "My name is Maya, and 6 months ago I was just a regular kid who liked to play piano. Then something unexpected happened. I played at my school talent show. Someone recorded it, and suddenly millions of people around the world knew my name." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "The past 6 months have been incredible. I've gotten to do things I never dreamed possible. I've met amazing people. I've performed in beautiful places. I've received messages from thousands of people telling me that my story inspired them. And I'm grateful for all of it. I really am." Maya gripped the microphone stand. This was the hard part. "But I need to be honest with you about something. I didn't play piano at that talent show to become famous. I didn't play to inspire people or to prove a point about disability. I played because music is how I see the world. When you can't see with your eyes, you learn to see with your heart. And piano is my heart's language." Someone in the audience sniffled. Maya could feel the attention of every single person in that room focused on her. "A lot of people have told me that I'm brave, that I'm an inspiration, that I'm proof that disability doesn't have to hold you back. And while I appreciate those words, I want to say something that might surprise you. I'm not special because I'm blind and I can play piano. I'm not some miracle. I'm just a person who found something they love and worked really hard at it. That's it." Maya's voice grew stronger. "The real problem isn't that blind people can't do things. The real problem is that most people assume we can't before we even try. When I signed up for that talent show, kids laughed at me. They left notes on my desk telling me to quit. They said I'd embarrass myself, not because they'd heard me play and thought I was bad, but because they saw my blindness and assumed that was all I was. The silence in the hall was profound. Maya could feel people hanging on every word. So yes, I'm blind. And yes, I can play piano. But those two things aren't connected the way everyone thinks. I'm not good at piano despite being blind. I'm good at piano because I practiced 8 hours a day. Because I had teachers who believed in me. Because I had a mom who worked double shifts to buy me a keyboard. Because I decided that other people's doubts weren't going to become my reality. Maya felt tears on her cheeks, but she kept going. There's a little girl out there who saw my video. She's 5 years old and she's blind, and she asked her mom if she could take piano lessons because of me. That's what this is really about. Not about proving I'm special, but about showing her and kids like her that they get to decide what they're capable of. Not their disability, not other people's assumptions, them. Maya turned toward the piano. Tonight, I'm going to play for that little girl. And for everyone else who's been told they can't do something because of who they are. This performance isn't about me being blind and playing piano. It's about all of us choosing to be more than what others expect. The applause started before she even sat down, but Maya held up her hand. One more thing. After tonight, I'm taking a break from public performances. I'm going back to being a regular kid who plays piano because she loves it. Not because millions of people are watching. Not because I have something to prove. Just because the music makes me happy. And I think that's okay. You don't have to be inspiring every single day. Sometimes you just get to be yourself. This time, when the applause came, Maya let it wash over her. She walked to the piano and sat down. The familiar feel of the keys under her fingertips calmed her racing heart. She'd prepared a special program for tonight, some Chopin, because that's where this journey started, some Beethoven, because he'd also faced struggles with his senses, and a piece she'd composed herself over the past few months, a piece about finding light in darkness, about being underestimated and rising above it, about the journey from that middle school gymnasium to this grand stage. She called it Through Different Eyes. Maya began to play, and the music filled Carnegie Hall like water filling a glass. Every note was deliberate. Every phrase told a story. She played with more emotion than she'd ever played with before because this wasn't a performance anymore. This was a conversation, a thank you, a goodbye to one chapter, and a hello to the next. The piece was 20 minutes long, but it felt both eternal and fleeting. When she played the final notes, Maya kept her hands on the keys for a long moment. She thought about everything that had led to this moment, the laughter, the doubt, the practice, the pain, the triumph. All of it had been necessary. All of it had made her who she was. The standing ovation lasted 5 full minutes. People were crying, cheering, calling her name. But Maya felt peaceful. She'd said what she needed to say. She'd played what she needed to play. And now, she could move forward. As she walked off stage with her mom's arm around her shoulders, Maya smiled. Tomorrow, she'd go back to being a regular kid. She'd practice piano because she wanted to, not because she had to. She'd go to school and hang out with Lisa and annoy Danny and just live her life. The blind girl who stunned the globe with her piano performance was ready to just be Maya again, and that felt like the biggest victory of all. But her message would continue to echo in the hearts of everyone who heard it. You are not defined by what you can't do. You are defined by what you choose to do, despite what others think you can't. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply be yourself and let your work speak louder than anyone's doubts ever could.